So, when we talk about artificial intelligence, it really feels like every company out there is facing this huge choice. Are you going to govern for profit or are you going to govern for people? And, this isn't just some boring policy decision, it's really a declaration of what a company stands for. So, let's dive in and break down the two main paths that are really shaping the future of AI.
All right, before we really get going, just a quick heads up. This is the first of a 15-part series, and it's all based on a pretty massive research report. So what you're getting here is just a taste of what's in the full thing. And, the usual disclaimer, this isn't legal advice, just an explainer. It feels like AI is everywhere these days, right? It's kind of becoming the new electricity, powering, well, pretty much everything in our businesses and our lives. But that brings up a really, really important question. What's the right way to govern it? And believe me, the answer is, well, it's not simple at all. Okay, so let's set the stage. To really get why there's this big split in how to approach AI, we first have to understand just how fast this whole conversation about governance has become, well, urgent and something nobody can ignore. So the first thing we absolutely have to get our heads around is that AI governance, it's not optional anymore. Not at all. It's not one of those nice-to-have things you tack on later. It's become as fundamental as your IT department or your finance team. It's a core piece of the puzzle for any modern organization. And wow, has this whole thing evolved fast? I mean, look at this. Just a few years ago, we were talking about basic technical stuff. Then it shifted to ethics. Now it's woven right into the core business strategy. We've gone from simple rules to something that's really about a company's entire identity, and we've done it in less than a decade. That's pretty wild. Okay, so all that super fast evolution has basically forced everyone to make a choice. And that choice has revealed this really fundamental split in strategy. This is where you can start to see two very different paths for governing AI begin to take shape. And it really all boils down to two main ways of thinking, two paradigms. The thing is, the choice between them isn't about technology. It's philosophical. It goes right to the heart of what a company believes its purpose is. So here they are, side by side. On one hand, you got the shareholder value focus. It's simple. Financial return is king. But on the other hand, you have the customer-focused approach. And here, everything, and I mean everything, is about building trust and keeping customers happy. These are two totally different worlds, and we're about to see just how different they are. All right, let's take a walk down that first path. What does AI governance really look like when the number one goal is maximizing shareholder value? So this whole idea is classic economics, right? The company's main purpose is to make its investors money. That's it. Everything else, whether it's customer satisfaction, employee morale, you name it, is only important if it helps the bottom line. It's all seen through that one financial lens. And that philosophy, that worldview, it totally shapes what they prioritize for AI. Governance just becomes another tool in the toolbox, right? It's there to boost ROI, to keep legal risks down, and to make sure they're not getting hit with big fines. Speed and efficiency are the name of the game, and when they talk about risk, they're almost always talking about financial risk. So what does this look like in practice? Well, you get a very centralized, very top-down structure. The big decisions about AI, they're made way up in the C-suite by the people who are directly responsible for the company's financial results. The whole system is really built for control and financial oversight. Okay, so that's one path. Now let's completely switch gears and look at the other side of this divide. What happens when a company builds its AI governance around its customers instead of its investors? Yeah, and the philosophy here is just completely different. The core belief is that real, long-term value doesn't come from just chasing short-term profits. It comes from building deep, meaningful relationships with your customers. It's all about trust and satisfaction. And just look at how the priorities totally flip. Instead of ROI being the main driver, the number one focus is on protecting and improving the customer experience. Governance becomes all about being transparent, about testing for bias like your life depends on it, and about measuring success with things like satisfaction and trust, not just dollars. And this naturally leads to a totally different kind of structure. Forget that top-down, centralized command. Here, you get distributed accountability. Decisions aren't just made in a boardroom. They're influenced by a whole bunch of different people.
ethics committees, customer advisory panels, even the folks on the front lines. Okay, so we've laid out two very, very different paths, but this isn't just some theoretical debate, right? The big question is, why does this divide actually matter? What are the real-world consequences of picking one path over the other? Well, the differences in how these companies operate they're just stark. Look at this. One path values speed above all else. The other values being thorough. One is obsessed with financial risk. The other is worried about relationship risk. One measures success in ROI. The other in customer trust. We're not talking about small adjustments here. These choices lead to completely different ways of behaving as an organization. And you've got to understand, this isn't just some internal memo about policy. Absolutely not. The path a company picks creates these massive ripple effects. It ends up shaping everything from where they stand against their competitors, to how they deal with regulators, to their entire internal culture. And of course, the impact it has on real people, real communities. The report we're drawing from puts it perfectly. It says these choices create lasting consequences. This really drives home that this is about so much more than just the tech. This is about the long-term health of a company, its sustainability, and how it relates to the entire world around it. So, when you boil it all down, an AI governance plan isn't just a binder on a shelf. It's a public statement about what your organization is all about. It's a statement of purpose, a declaration of what you truly value. So, that leaves one last question for you to think about. What is your organization's policy saying about its purpose? We're going to keep digging into that in the next part of this series. Thanks for tuning in.